Hey, it's a beautiful day here in Port Elizabeth. Oh, Gebera. Hier we kan Gebera, ons kan die goed 'n bietjie Gebera, ja. That old bird is still wearing a mask. Maybe she's back in 2020 still. 2021.
Did you say that old what?
Hey?
Did you say that old what?
Yeah.
Did you say what? That old bird. Did you say bird?
Old bird. Ou voeltjie. Ja. Good morning, PE, Port Elizabeth, here from the Big Dam, Gebera. Yeah, I'm driving here through Port Elizabeth at the moment. And I must say, check even, there's a guy with a broom. The other day I watched a video where Nathaniel, where he spoke, and he said he recently visited Port Elizabeth and he found it to be such a lovely place. And also he found it to be that the people here in Port Elizabeth, it's really the friendly city because the people are so sort of friendly and they always want to help or assist you or whatever. And I can speak of that, and it's never changed because I stayed here from 1997 to 2003. And then I came back about 3 years ago, and here I'm again. And one thing I can tell you is I am not going to leave here. Not again. Here I'm going to die, if I can put it that way, yeah. But I'm an old Western Cape boytjie, and they're from Malmesbury. Al wat die boere so lekker braai man. But, yeah. I'm watching all these social media warriors, and I've got quite a few that I particularly like what they do and their presentation and what they say and so on. Now there's one of them, this guy calls himself Gareth Cliff. And many years ago, Gareth was a presenter. He was the show host of a show called, I think, Idols or something like that. Ah, you're right, Mtunzi, Idols. And I didn't like him during that show, but I thought to myself, give this guy the benefit of the doubt, because he most probably is just like sort of playing a role in the show by being nasty to some of the contenders and people that's trying to sing. And I could understand his frustration many times because some of those guys, they should have never even attempted to try to sing. But after he started Cliff Central and also doing his famous show, as we see it now, weekly or sometimes daily on YouTube, I sort of grew a kind of a respect for Gareth Cliff. He's normally very articulated and he's like well-spoken. He even went on a show the other night with that funny little guy, Dan Corder, and also Ernest Roots, and so on, speaking to, if I can remember correctly, Piers Morgan. But the thing is that only yesterday morning, Gareth spoke to a guy called Joe Emilio from the Western Cape.
But just explain to us where it all went wrong. You said it wasn't even that long ago. It's like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And it all was about this documentary.
Protest action coupled with illegal land occupations have been continuing in the area for weeks.
The attack on the Tygerberg Raceway was probably the most violent.
We've seen in the past couple of years an increase in land invasions, unlawful occupations.
Hordes and hordes of angry protesters.
The land invaders attacked one of our staff members with a petrol bomb.
All spheres of government and especially the ruling parties is involved in this.
Of course, the situation with regards to land, illegal land occupations have been ongoing in areas such as Kraaifontein.
The complete racetrack is gone in a week.
Yep, this documentary, stolen land, stolen ground or whatever. Anyway, so in this conversation with Joey Media, Gareth Cliff, I was actually shocked. I was like, Cyril Ramaphosa most of the time feels when he's shocked.
And I spoke to a lady who's quite involved with townships and stuff like that, and she actually went on the ground and she asked like where these people come from, and a lot of them were saying that they're not from the Western Cape.
Oh, I mean, this is Helen Zille's old thing of economic refugees, which
much,
caused
yeah.
huge trouble. Do you remember what noise there was around that?
Yeah, yeah. But they're
Okay,
all
so this
they're all Xhosa speaking.
I was actually shocked because he said that the most terrible people comes from the Eastern Cape.
Yeah,
That's-
okay.
yeah.
So they probably come from that even worse province, the Eastern Cape,
Yeah.
which, by the way, has been run. I mean,
To the ground.
people say run like a spaza shop, but people run spaza shops properly. Like the Eastern Cape. No, they do. I mean, a spaza shop is a well-run
That's true. That's true.
business. It's got very tight margins. You have to know exactly how much stock you have. You have to know what you're selling and how much, and prices change all the time. And you really have to have your eyes, on everything when
Yeah.
you're running a business like that. But the Eastern Cape is run by some of the worst people in South Africa who just have absolutely no skills. Frankly, I don't know who would hire anyone from the Eastern Cape because they're just all useless. But that's just me.
But there is another part to it.
So-
And guess what? They actually come down to the Western Cape. And like Auntie Zille said a while ago, they like economic sort of, what do they call them? Foreigners, economic migrants.
But hang on, I want to make this point because there was a huge internet sensation when Helen Zille said, as a matter of now undisputed fact, that the Eastern Cape was the source of so many of these people who are living in the townships in and around Cape Town, who are recent, like first-generation migrants to Cape Town, and they're coming there because they're trying to find work, which is fine. But the word for that is economic refugee. And she was pilloried by the left in this country and by other political parties who said, oh, how can you call them refugees? It's within your own country.
Because they come down to the Western Cape to come and grab some jobs. And he said, the most terrible people from the Eastern Cape. He says the time has actually come, something to that sort of note. The time has actually come to take a knife or something and just cut the Eastern Cape along the borders that it actually falls into the sea.
That province, we may as well just cut along the border and let it sink into the sea. It is just a disgrace.
Yeah.
And so everyone's getting out while they can. And where are they going? Well, they're going to where there are economic opportunities. And where are there economic opportunities? In the better run places and the places where there are businesses that need employees. And frankly, I don't know who would hire anyone from the Eastern Cape because they're just all useless.
And I thought to myself, Gareth, how the hell, Gareth, like Casper de Vries once said, is die oom te lelik vir jou? Gareth, I can't believe that you are actually talking about one of the provinces in this country, which is Narnia. I don't know where you were when it was only 4 provinces. Remember, the Eastern Cape was part of the Cape Province, and so the Northern Cape as well. But it was typical all the years, the Nationalist Party, good or bad, they always dealt with the Eastern Cape like the stepchild. The budgets were always like sort of cut away, giving more to Gauteng today, the Transvaal, and also giving more sometimes to Natal before it became KwaZulu-Natal. It's almost like when you got 2 daughters, they're only separated by 1 year. And the eldest one always gets like the new dresses. And what happens to those dresses after a year or 2? Becomes a hand down to the younger sister. The younger sister hardly ever gets anything new. And here you can see we're driving through Port Elizabeth. I'm quite sure it looks better than Johannesburg, Gareth. Looks far better than Joburg. So why not take your little cynical, surgical knife and cut out Gauteng that it falls to the center of the earth? How dare you talk shit about the Eastern Cape? The Eastern Cape is a beautiful, arguably the most beautiful province in the country, with the most beautiful people too. Just thought I want to mention it to you. Yes! I can see Joe was just smiling when you piped that one up.
Frankly, I don't know who would hire anyone from the Eastern Cape because they're just all useless. But that's just me.
But there is another part to it.
So
maybe you didn't feel well because it was Tuesday. Or maybe, no, it was Monday mornings. It was Monday. You just didn't feel yourself. So I'll pardon you for that. Keep on with the good work.